Good morning, ladies and gents from sunny Spain. Today's going to be a little bit of a different episode. Me and my son, Bertie on our morning walk. And today's podcast is all going to be around talking to my son, who's just come out of an academy environment. He's going back to play grassroots. He's had 4 seasons playing for Leyton Orient Academy. So, bit of a test, really, bit of a should we say an experiment. Don't really know how it's going to go. He's not really been in front of a camera or a mic before, so just going to freeball this and see how it goes. So there might be a bit of a background noise. A lot of people walking up and down the promenade. Yesterday I went for a nice long run, and today I'm stiff as a board, so we're walking. So good morning, Bertie.
Oh, good morning.
So for people out there that don't know you, do you want to give yourself a little introduction of who you are, your age, where you've been playing, what's your position?
Yeah. So my name's Bertie. I'm 10 and I'm an ex-player of Leyton Orient and I play centre back.
Okay, so you've been at Leyton Orient Academy.
Yeah.
You've just recently come out in May of this year. If we rewind the clock, can you remember how the Leyton Orient opportunity come around? Can you remember your first few sessions?
Yeah.
Can you remember that feeling of going into Leyton Orient?
Mhm.
So
So going into Leyton Orient was a big achievement for me because me and my dad supported Leyton Orient, and I was just very happy with the decision that I could have maybe a place at Leyton Orient. And the first 3 sessions felt like a bit intense because I've never really experienced playing at like that high level or that before.
Was the level better, would you say, than grassroots football at that time?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were training at Leyton Orient at I Farm.
Yeah.
And then, can you remember the process from training to getting signed? There's a side note here that, as I say, Bertie said that he's a Leyton Orient fan. So I actually told a white lie and told him that it wasn't actually a trial, and we were attending a soccer camp that me and his mum had paid for. Just to lower expectations, take the pressure off a little bit. So, but it was there a couple of weeks. Can you remember some of those pre-academy memories? There were some amazing trips and games. You got any memories of that pre-academy season?
Yeah, when we went to Man United, because it was a very good experience, and because I like football and all that, I watched like Man United on the telly and on Sky Sports, so I felt very happy to get that experience to play at a big Premier League club.
So where did you play when you played Man United?
And we played at the old training ground.
So the Cliff.
Yeah.
So the Cliff is very synonymous with Class of '92 and Alex Ferguson. So you enjoyed that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember what you did before and after? Where did you stay? Did you go there and back in a day? Obviously, it's quite a long trip.
Yeah, I remember we stayed at the football hotel.
Yeah.
And me and my friends, we explored Manchester because we've never gone up Manchester.
Up to north.
Yeah.
Right. So you're training at the academy. You've been there numerous weeks. Obviously, in that pre-academy sort of process, there's lots and lots of kids. Trial games. There's lots and lots of, so should we say, teams. How did you feel in that process? I know you said after that you kind of figured out what was going on, but tell me the story about how you figured out that Daddy and Mummy were telling a little fib.
Because I saw some kids, because none of them, I actually believed it because none of them had training kits on or anything, and everyone had all their own stuff on. But then I saw some kids have a contract and taking it home and signing it, and then I got very confused because I didn't know what it was about because I just thought it was a camp. Okay,
so do you remember that conversation in the car? Do you remember you asking questions about what's going on, and
yeah.
did that excite you more, or did you feel more pressure off the back of that? Obviously, we haven't really talked through this.
No, not really. I felt a little bit of pressure, but because I was quite young, I didn't really know what was going on, so it didn't really get to me as much as it does when you're older.
Sure. So on that note, going through the system myself, I was very, I think, wary of the academy system. I had lots of conversations with people that I trust in football, Pat Walker, Luke Young, people like that, where I was very wary about putting my boy into an environment that is probably more intense than it was back in the day. And obviously there's that conversation now that it's just academy, whereas in my day you could play for your academy, you could play district, you could play county football, and there'd be numerous games around the weekend, but still playing with your mates and your grassroots team. So exactly, yeah. I think my wife Charlotte and I come to the conclusion that, given that it was Leyton Orient, given that, you know, it was a team he really loved, we'd just roll with it, and, you know, if at any point that changed, we could put him out. So you're in that environment, you figured out that, you know, it's probably kind of a trial basis, but what can you talk me through how you found out, you know, that you were going to get signed and become a full academy player at Leyton Orient?
I don't really remember it, but I remember you like you and Mum telling me, and I got like really excited. And I remember we was in the car, not from the way home of what was the trial. And I remember I got out of the car and started jumping around. So
I still got that
t-shirt off.
Yeah, so you were obviously told that you were going to sign for Leyton Orient, but do you remember going to the stadium and being told by Paul Ferry and Akmakani that you were going to become a Leyton Orient player?
Yeah, because I remember we was at the stadium and we had like a look around the stadium, and then we went up to the, don't really know, it's like one of the floors, and
the director's box, yeah,
and then we all had our own t-shirts of what the season was at that time, and then we all had like number 9 in your name, and then you had a picture of you getting signed, and then you got like, it was a Leyton Orient picture with a Lego block on it and like saying welcome to Orient and stuff.
So that was the actual official signing day. I was more talking about just like that night you was taken after training. I remember getting in the car, I'd have a little tear under my sunglasses that you know, the team we support that you were going to sign for. So yeah, that was obviously a proud day for you, proud day for us. As I say, I'd like to think that you enjoyed that signing day at the stadium. As you said, all your team was there. There had lots of pictures. I don't know if you remember, you had a training session on the pitch after. I will just say that Paul Ferry and Ak done an amazing job of making the children welcome, bringing them into like the Orient Football Club, and just making it a special day for the parents. So you signed, but you've been given a contract for the under-9 season. I would say, from my point of view, it was an amazing achievement. Bertie's a young boy. He's born in August, so there's a lot of, it's for another podcast, but there's a lot of conversations about academy players, and certain academies only taking boys in the first quarter. But Bertie was obviously in the last quarter. There was lots of teammates in his team that were actually September, October, nearly a whole year older than him. So just to get a contract and being in amongst it, I think he done really well. So we start the season as an under-9. I would say that grassroots is a little bit more relaxed. Obviously, can you remember how many times a week you used to train and play for your grassroots team? Yeah,
it just felt like a stress-free run-through session of football.
So yeah, grassroots, you're training on a Saturday morning, you was playing football on a Sunday morning, and then talk me through the change. So you changed to academy environment. what does your week look like for an academy? When do you train? How long do you train for? What are the sessions?
So like on a Tuesday, after school, we
Yeah.
drive straight to Leightonstein
Yeah.
and I farm,
Yeah.
which is like an astro pitch. It's astro based, and then on a Thursday, not at the start, like when I was younger, we played on the astro grass.
Yeah.
But then when I got like developed a bit older, we played futsal on a Thursday, and also when I was older, so we played futsal on a Saturday.
Okay, and then so games on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify that, so on a Tuesday, because of the length of distance where we lived, I would pick Bertie up from school at 3:30. He would eat his lunch and eat his dinner in the car. We would do some reading, and then he would train. So Tuesdays was 5 to 5:30, 7:30. Thursdays is 5 to 6:37. Saturday mornings is 9 to 10:30, and a game could be anywhere in the country really. Obviously you've got a games program at Cat 3, but you also play a lot of other teams outside that. So what did you notice? What was the biggest difference, would you say, coming out of a grassroots environment and going into a academy environment? Was that the intensity? Was it the players? Was it just the length of training? Just talk me through that.
It was basically like the intensity of like, and also the difference in coaches, because obviously at grassroots, when you're younger, they're not really as strict as a professional academy's coaches will be. So it was very intense and like quick. It was very quick sessions, and you had to get your head around it at first, but then you get used to it.
You get used to it?
Yeah.
So how did you find, because obviously it's, I think a lot of parents see academies as sort of like that special place, and don't get me wrong, it's an amazing environment, and you play amazing experiences, and there's amazing games, and you get to go on great trips, but there's also a big strain that it puts on family and travel and time and sometimes monetary. So how was that Tuesday, Thursday straight from school for you as a child? Being open and honest as a parent, I found it quite stressful a lot of the time, because I'm starting work early, leaving work early, doing conference calls in the car, rushing, picking you up straight from school. But that was all to try and get you there on time, make sure that you eat in the car, you drink. How did you find that as a child in that environment?
Obviously at the start I felt a bit different. I felt it was a bit different because when I first played, we literally had to, it was a 5-minute drive down the road, but then we had to drive an hour, and it was just a bit different. Like, I wasn't really used to eating in the car, getting changed in the car. It felt very, at the start it felt very weird because I couldn't get my head around it.
So how does, as a kid at school, is there a sense of like you're the man at school because you play for academy? Do the kids treat you differently? Is there, obviously we had a situation at your school where they wouldn't allow you to play for the school team because of your Orient commitments, but as a child, is it a nice feeling to play for an academy? Like, talk me through how your peers, I don't, with the greatest respect, sometimes I don't think children and parents outside an academy environment really understand what the kids are doing, but also what the parents are having to go through as well. Do you just want to elaborate on that?
So basically, no one really treated me different, but people knew that like everyone really basically knew that I played for academy.
Okay.
So like people, like people mostly knew me as like, oh, he's the one that plays for academy. There was no really one that played for a proper academy. There were some that played for like developments and all that, but not really any proper academies.
Okay, so do you find that there's a level of expectancy around that? Do you find it brings a bit of pressure?
Yeah, because like at school days, if we played football on the playground, like although I was a defender, everyone said, "Oh, but you've got to score, you've got to score." So like you feel a bit like at times it's a good feeling, but at times it's not as good as you feel it is.
Right. So, can you that first season? Is there any games that stick out where you feel like you've done really well, and on the flip side of that, is there any games where you think that you really struggled?
Yeah, mate. On the first few games, I didn't play that bad, but I just struggled with getting used to all the other teams.
Yeah.
And how other people play, because obviously at grassroots anyone can really play for that grassroots. Although there's different levels, anyone can play in grassroots.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just felt a bit weird to get my head around like all the different kids, and the level was much higher.
Okay. So is there any games that stick out where you think, yeah, I played really well there?
I thought I played quite good at Man U, but we had quite a lot of games because we played the younger ones and then we played the older ones.
Yeah.
So we had like quite a lot of games. And right at the end, when we played like that year above us, we got really tired.
Yeah.
So our level started to drop a little bit.
And what about? Is there any games where you think this is like a big step and you might have struggled?
Yeah, there's some. I don't really remember what games, but there is some that I can remember I struggled on.
Okay, so just touching on one of them facts for people that don't know, sometimes obviously there's a grading system in academies. It's not always, I'd say relevant to the ability, but obviously back in the day, South East Counties, Division 1, Division 2, promotions, relegation. Now obviously, as probably most people know, it's Cat 1, 2 and 3. It's all on facilities. So you play a games program designed around other Cat 3 academies, but you'll also play a lot of Cat 2s and Cat 1s in games outside that program. I would say the majority of the big Cat 1s, Arsenal, Spurs, you're sometimes going to play, I would say, the year below, or a mix of, shall we say, the year below and some of their boys that might not be in that first 11. Again, Leyton Orient had one team. You've got Cat 1 academies that have got 2, 3, 4 teams. So, Bertie, end of that first season, was there any talk about retain and release? Can you remember how that process went, or was it just you rolled on to the next season?
You basically just rolled on to the next season. Yeah. Because when you're younger, but like when you're like under 11s now and 10s, they start talking about will you get dropped or will you stay?
Okay. So just as a side note to that, so in academy football, you have a meeting probably once every 6 weeks. How you doing? And then you have sort of a review meeting at the end of the season. Again, little side note. I sort of knew that Bertie had a new contract by the following season. I never let on. Made sure that he was always at it all the time, trying his best. But yeah, so we go into that second season. You're now on under 10. Was there any differences, would you say, between the under 10 and under 9 season?
Yeah, big difference.
What would you say?
Like of the coaches, like expectancy, because obviously when you're under 9, you're quite young, and you're just getting your head around it. But at under 10, you've had like a whole season,
Yeah.
So people expect you to play, expect you to be on the stands more,
Okay.
and not get tired or like, I don't really know how to say it, but they expect you to do more when you're
Okay.
getting older.
So a year down the line, are you still as excited to play for Leyton Orient as you were in that first season?
Mm.
Is it becoming difficult? Is it becoming a strain, or are you still loving it?
I'm still loving it.
So again, side note, because I know how it can be sometimes challenging for kids. I know obviously the time commitments that it takes. I know how much of a commitment on Bertie's time and I would say energy every day, whether it be training, game, travel for football. The first thing I do is ask him if he wanted to go, and he always said yes. There were times probably that he felt like saying no, but he always said yes. If at any point there was a no, then I wouldn't have taken him at all, because again, it is a big commitment for a child at that age, and I always needed him to go and be happy about going. So anything that really sticks out from the under-10 season?
Just the enjoyment of playing all the big teams.
Okay.
Like we played Arsenal,
Yeah.
and that. But when we first played Arsenal, I think we was all scared because
Yeah.
we know Arsenal is Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then, but like the coaches told us, it's just another team in a different kit.
Yeah, I always like it when you used to come up with that saying. So one thing I would say over the years is you've played some amazing training grounds, amazing teams. I think, as you say, that the under-10 season, the level sort of goes up again. They are expecting more from you. As you say, that you've been in the system a year now. So, again, we get to last season. So, you've had pre-academy, you've had under-9s, under-10s, and under-11s. So, it's your fourth sort of season with Leyton Orient. As a parent, there seems to be a very, very different feeling around the team, the expectancy, everything. So, talk me through what happens at that under-11 season. What happens from a player perspective
at the start of the 11s.
Yeah.
And it was this sort of the same as the 10s, but just they hired the standards a bit more.
Okay.
But then at the other, like when it was getting a bit into the end, I felt very pressured because all they were saying is, "Oh, we've got retain and release," and I didn't really because they brought it up quite a lot. I didn't really like the feeling, and I felt I didn't really enjoy it as much as I did in under-10s.
So you're saying, from a player perspective, you felt the pressure last year?
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I used to, because like the pressure and you getting older was getting to me, and I didn't really like the pressure you had on your shoulders, because it was quite a lot of pressure with all the kids talking about who's getting released and all that.
So just again, as a side note, under-11 is quite a big season in academy football, where it's sort of at a crossroads where they look at the players to see if they've survived the first couple of seasons. They reevaluate and look at the players that they've now got, whether they keep them for the under-12 season and beyond. As I say, I would say as a parent, there was a bit of a change in environment last year where it all became very serious. How do you think you coped with last season's football? Obviously, boys are getting bigger, boys are getting stronger. I would say you went from a 3 at the back to a 2 at the back as a centre half. How do you feel like you coped last year and played?
I thought I played and coped quite well last season. But I played quite good at the start, and then a bit further in, I didn't play that great because the pressure was getting to me. But then more to the start, I picked up my standards again and I started playing like I normally was.
So the crux of this podcast and what I really want to get to. So come the end of the season, obviously I can talk about how it affected us as parents, but let's just talk about, can you remember getting to that end of the season and what was your thinking about the season after? Did you think that you was going to get retained? Did you think you was going to get released? What was the feeling around the team?
I don't like. I had a good season, but I hadn't had the best. So I wasn't definite that I was going to get retained, but I thought there was more chances of me getting retained,
right,
than released. But
is there a lot of talk around? Obviously, been in lots of change rooms myself. Was there lots of talk around who's going, who's staying, who might come on trial?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of that. But some the people in the change room, when they said it, they never really said that I was going to get released. So it was a bit of a surprise.
Okay, so fast forward to the end of the season. We had a retain and release meeting on the 30th of April. Kind of had an inclination that things might change for you because you stopped playing your 3.5 out of 4 quarters. You were just playing the 2. I noticed that the coach's attitude a little bit had changed towards you. So as parents, we made the decision to ask for the email. Obviously, in a retain and release meeting, you can go to the meeting blind. You can ask for an email with some prior warning. So yeah, can you? I know this is probably not nice to talk through, but can you remember how that sort of news was broke to you?
I remember we went after school. We went somewhere to eat, and then I remember you told me we're at the table, and then I got really upset, and I didn't really want to talk to anyone. And when I got home, I just went in my room and just sat in there and didn't want to talk to anyone about it because I was quite upset because that's basically what I was used to for 4 years.
Okay, so just as a follow-on for that, obviously we got the email in the morning to state that Bertie wouldn't be retained as a Leyton Orient player for next season. My wife and I decided that we would meet Bertie from school, take him out from St. to eat. Because of being a W, he was last that evening anyway at the stadium. As a parent, I would say it's one of the most horrible, heartbreaking things I've ever had to do. Picking that right moment in a restaurant. My wife has already had tears in her eyes. It was obviously a very emotional time. You probably hear it in my voice now that it doesn't bring back great memories, but it's something that we've gone through now as a family. How did that make you feel in the sort of time after getting that news?
At the start of it, I felt very affected. I didn't really know what to do with myself with football because I just felt like I wasn't good at football anymore, and I wasn't, and I couldn't really play anywhere else because after it I didn't really want to go to any other clubs or any other teams to try out because I just felt very affected by it.
So yeah, just as a parent, obviously it was summertime. We made a decision to kind of forget football for a while. We probably did that for about 8 weeks. So we threw Bertie into his cricket and just let him play cricket and forget about football. I would say he became a bit of an emotional human being, very tearful. Uttered the words, loss of identity a little bit. Don't know what he was going to do. It's a break of routine. So, can you remember, or do you feel like you're through that now, and have you decided what you're going to do next season?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to play my best for my new team, and I'm gonna do my best. But now I'm out of it, and like it's not really, it's gone quite past it. I feel quite stress free and more happier because I didn't really have the stress of that on my shoulders.
So again, as a family, there was talks of different clubs and going on trial. But without sounding too bullish, I made the decision as a parent that what we need for our son is to go and play football in a fun environment and just sort of forget about everything outside of that. So he's going back to play with his friends in one of his old grassroots teams, and we'll just see how next season goes. All about enjoyment. So, looking back on your time in academy football, what would you say? What would you say was the good bits?
Um, the game days.
Yeah.
Playing against teams, although I like training, I think everyone was just excited for training to be finished, and so you could play the games on a Sunday. Because I thought that was my favourite part, because like the competition of the games, the scoreline. Am I gonna, even though as a defender, am I gonna score? Am I gonna do my job well? Or am I gonna defend like a proper defender would, or would I not have a great game?
That's a great analogy, because I say I'm someone that always, I went training because it's a bit of a habit, but I've kind of lived for game day, whether that be under the lights midweek or on a Saturday. Couldn't say I really enjoy training, but come game day, there's not really any other place I'd rather be. So, looking back, is there any bits that over time you didn't like, or?
I liked my age group, but I didn't really like the olders, because like he was always playing against competition to see, oh, are you going to be a better age group than us? And like when we was a bit older, we played against the older age groups, and like it just like, it was a bit like a show game of trials, but it wasn't. It was just against your other teammates. But because they were older, you felt like you had to perform, do well.
Yeah, I think that's the football environment. It's very intense. As you get older, there's more competition, there's more players, there's more people that want to play in that environment. Just to finish off from you, I know this is a bit of a weird experience for you, and I can see you're squinting. But if you were going to give any advice to children going into an academy environment, what sort of advice would you give?
To just to practice and train, and don't think about what if you're going to get released or not, because then have a positive mindset. So if you think positive, you maybe think more positive things are going to happen. So maybe I would say just like keep your head up when you're playing, and just enjoy football as it is, because football's the best sport in the world, and everyone knows that.
Okay, but I really appreciate your time. I know it's not something that you probably wanted to talk about. It's a bit of an experiment. Me as a parent, I think there's been massive positives come out of the experience. Obviously, I got to see him play, albeit at a younger age, for a team that we support. He's played on the pitch. He's trained on the pitch. He's played at some amazing venues. I think he's played at 30 or 40, training grounds across the country, first team grounds. We've made some good friends. We've got friends with us here on holiday that we met through Leighton Orient. There's people I speak to most days. Obviously, there are downsides. It is a strain as a family. It does take up a lot of time. I was probably putting, living the distance we did, I was probably putting £100 a week of petrol in the car. But look, you just got to take it for what it is. At some point in your life, you're going to get released, especially in a football environment. For Bertie, or for anyone really, it's how you come back from that. how you bounce back. You know, I always say there's two ways you can go. You kind of just forget about it and, you know, your dream's dead, or you go away and try and prove a point. From us as parents, we've made a big point to Bertie that, you know, in any walk of life, one person's decision, you know, doesn't mould you as a person. He's not, you know, he's not definite. You know, that's just one person's opinion. So again, this has been a bit of an experiment. I hope you like it. I really do appreciate Bert, because he's probably not something that he wanted to speak about. He's never had, you know, a mic shoved in his face before. So now we're going to enjoy the sunshine. So Bert, say goodbye.
Thank you for all of your respect and listening to me.
So have a good day, and if in doubt, turn it around the corner. So this is a bit of a strange episode. As I say, you've listened to the majority of an episode that I recorded with my son, Bertie. It was a few days before his 11th birthday in Spain. He's saying that I've sat on, obviously, for a couple of months. It's been 2 months now since we recorded that, start of August. And I wasn't sure whether, one, that, you know, people would want to listen to it, and two, you know, whether I should put that out into the open. And I've listened to it back a couple of times this week, and I actually think there's some great content in there. It's a bit of an insight, I would say, into academy life. You know, what it's like for a grassroots kid to go through that pre-academy process at under 8s. You know, lots of kids in pre-academies. You know, you get a lot of kids that are trialling at different pre-academies. So you might have kids that are at, you know, Spurs, Arsenal, West Ham, you know, seeing which ones that, you know, they like the most, or, you know, even, you know, silly as it may sound, you know, what one gives them the best offer, you know, length of years, whatever. So it's a great insight to hear from someone like Bert who's gone through that system. It's also, you know, the insight that I can give about being a parent and the supportive nature that you need to be an academy parent. As I say, there's lots, I would say more so than ever now, about a focus and a real obsession with, you know, parents wanting their kids to get picked up, you know, move on from grassroots football, get into academy football. You know, there's a lot of focus on it. You know, there's people see, you know, there's probably more people playing football than ever. Obviously, there's a lot more fame and fortune that can be derived from playing football now. So there is a lot of sort of focus on getting your kid in an academy. Hopefully people do their due diligence and get their children into the right academy that suits, you know, them, whether that be a travel thing or, you know, the kid's style of play. For us, it was very much like, you know, Bertie supported Leyton Orient, and, you know, we were probably not clouded in the judgment, but obviously it was a bigger thing for us, for our son to play for an academy that he's grown up supporting. You know, he's watched since, you know, I think his first game was 2 years old at Roots Hall, Southend away at Orient. So, but I think it gives, you know, a lot of detail to, you know, the preparation of what it takes to get your child to and from an academy, the hours that it takes. As I say, people are very much focused on academy life, but I don't think people really understand the hours that it takes. You know, the ability to be able to leave work early, to be pretty flexible, get your child, you know, to and from training. You know, that might be 3 or 4 times a week. You know, Orient, for instance, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning, and anywhere in the country on a Sunday. And as much as every category these days has their games program, for instance, a Cat 3 academy is never going to turn down a Category 1 fixture. So regularly we would go on a Friday night also away to Arsenal, or at the drop of a hat on a Sunday, your fixture would be changed and you could have to go to anywhere in the country. A prime example of that last season was we were supposed to be playing Peterborough at home as part of a, you know, they weren't in our games program, but a fixture that was added. 2 or 3 days before, that was changed to an away fixture on Father's Day for a 9 o'clock kickoff. You know, for most people, that was a 2.5 hour journey.
you end up then sacrificing most of your Saturday. We are very fortunate that, us and some families would make a weekend of it. So you'd stay over, get a hotel, but it's a financial strain, but very much it's a strain on time. There's a lot of constraints about being there at the right time, and that can change. It can go from 4 times a week, maybe 5 times a week. So there's that to consider. I would say we had some great memories from the academy journey, shall we say. Couple of months on, but he's now playing grassroots with a lot of his friends, people that he goes to school with, people that he played football with and against. Grassroots wise, before he went into Leyton Orient, we've been lucky now that since the takeover, obviously, you've hopefully you've heard one of my previous episodes that Southend have started up again. Obviously losing their academy status from going out the Football League, and then obviously after the 2 years funding finished, they've now started in a new guise. So they have a centre of excellence. So they wanted to separate it a bit as well. So new name, etc. So that for us is great. So Bertie's playing with his friends, grassroots wise. He's getting that friendly football and finding his love for football again. And obviously, training with Southend, and he had 2 or 3 games so far. I played 2 last week in the holidays. He's also getting that, should we say, increased competition and playing with better players again. But the best thing for us is it's at the end of our road. So for us, the travelling aspect of that has kind of gone away. So as I say, there's lots of brilliant memories to take away from academy football. Is there things that I think they could do better? Yes, there's plenty of things that I think academies, not just Leyton Orient, could do better. There's a lot of things that I didn't understand thought processes at the time or the way that they done things. For instance, Bertie's retain and release is a big year for children at under 11. As I spoke about before, under 11s is a sort of big bench, sort of crossroads in academy football where there are a lot of players and academies that make, big decisions on, whether the children, shall we say, through that first phase will carry on through that academy. It's quite a known age where a number will get released, and it's a big year for them academically. 11 plus. You're in your last year as infant school. You're going into senior school, and Leyton Orient made a big thing about that they wouldn't make any decisions. Before SATs, which they then, without prior warning, changed and just sent out dates for retain and review. Now, I didn't really like that decision, but he had done very well in all his SATs mocks, and he didn't do as well after his release. Now that might just be a coincidence, right? It might be that he had an off day. It might be like he's like his dad. He doesn't really like exams, and he fell apart a little bit. But also part of me thinks that he had still Leyton Orient on his mind, and for that, timing's everything. Sometimes with kids, it's the small percentages are going to make it through from academy to the first team, and I think things like that should be considered. I also think, and again, this is not just Leyton Orient, I think in general, the aftercare of players is pretty much non-existent in the academy. Yes, we've had the odd text from the academy director, we've had the odd email, but other than that, there's not a lot else done for children that come out of an academy system. And that hasn't really changed since I come out of the academy system in 1997 or whenever it was. I think the aftercare can be a lot better. I speak to people a lot in the game. I speak, for instance, to Ross Edmerton that's really working hard on that at West Ham and trying to change and do a lot more for kids at all age groups that come out of academy football. And Ross is spending a lot of time at West Ham working with his peers to put more and more programs in place for them. As I say, Orient, I don't think done anything for Bert really. You get the token email, you get the odd email here and there, and you get the odd text here and there. nothing else has really been done. And that's me speaking honestly. So, in general, yes, we have great memories. We made some great friends. There's some, we played at some unbelievable football clubs. The boys had some great wins, great memories. But in general, I probably miss the game day and the social aspect with the friends that we made more than I do the whole round, should we say, package. Getting your child to and from training and making sure that they eat and do their homework and get to bed at a good time whilst taking care of your other siblings and work is a big strain. Thankfully, I was in a position where, I could afford that, and obviously we lived an hour away. That's my choice. But even from a monetary value, you spend a lot of money, petrol and, overnight stays, weekend stays. So that does add up. So I'm glad that Bertie went through that. I'm glad that he got to experience that. I'm glad that he got to play for the club that he supports. Do I miss it? Not massively. I miss more, the Sunday morning games and the people that not only Bertie got friendly with and met, the same for me and my wife. Does it stack up to grassroots football? Yes, obviously. On a Sunday morning, I've now started to help coach my son's grassroots team. Do I see big changes in the quality levels? Yes, I do. Do I see big quality changes in the intensity, the size of the boys, the aggression? Yes, I do. But at the same time, I've also seen a massive change in Bert just plays football and gets on with it and enjoys it, and we don't really speak that much about it. There's not that constant pressure and constant cycle of we're out on a Saturday night, it's got late, he's got a big game in the morning. I think I would say everything's a little bit more freer. Yeah, obviously I'd still want my boy to be in an academy, but there's also a lot that comes along with it. And I think this episode just gives you a bit of an eye-opener to some of the sacrifices that your child has to make, and obviously you make as a family. And, again, the extra sibling kind of sometimes, tags along and becomes a bit of a football sibling. So, hope you enjoy the episode. As I say, I thought long and hard about putting it out. I think there's some good content in there. I don't see there's any harm. I think Bert was great to open up and talk about his experiences. I did see it affect him quite a lot as a kid. I'd say that the couple of months after him coming out of academy hasn't always been plain sailing. He still does get upset about little things. And I do think, from that academy experience, a little bit football wise for him has gone away. I'm not saying that the fun's not that the fun's not there anymore, but I would say he's not as bothered about football as he used to be. And that also coincided with he started senior school. So there's basketball now. There's there's girls at the canteen. There's other priorities as well, and it's not just football. So for part of me, coming out of an academy is been good for him, right? He's doing other stuff now. He goes out with his mates on a Saturday, or he'll come down and play with his mates and watch me play vets. Or on Sunday, he's got a lot more freer time to do what he wants to do. So, as I say, there's plenty of pluses and minuses for academy life. As I say, I can't speak highly of some of the experiences that we had. The tour that Bertie went on and some other, tournaments, etc. that they went to. I just think you have to go in with your eyes open. I think you have to be aware that it's not always plain sailing. It is quite a lot of pressure on the boy. There is quite a lot of pressure and sort of sacrifice to be made from you as a family. So, again, without repeating the end of my first edit, I hope you like the episode. Really thankful for Bertie giving his insight. And if in doubt, turn it around the corner.